Sherrone has been the anchor, as you would expect for a tight end. But I said something a few months ago, and some people kind of laughed at it a little bit as maybe an embellishment. But I wanted to bring it up here on the podcast to make the point that it's not. I said, Sherrone Moore is not just one of the best recruiters on this staff. He's not just one of the best recruiters in the Big Ten. I think Sherrone Moore is one of the best recruiters in the country. And, I mean, the Daxton Hill recruitment alone should be enough to convince people of what an effective recruiter he is to land that kid. And it wasn't a one-man effort, to be clear, but to land that kid first. And then to get him back when he flips. When he calls Michigan up, he calls Sherrone and he's like, look, I'm flipping to Alabama. And I know we've gone into this story on the board before, Steve, but Sherrone says, hey, I'm sorry to hear that. I wish it wasn't this way, but if that's the way you feel, I understand. I just hope we have a chance to talk about it in the future if you are open to having a conversation with us. And his response in that moment was a big part of getting Daxton Hill back in the fold. That's what he said. That's what his parents said when I talked to him about it after the fact. They said, the way he responded and the way that the staff responded based on Sherrone's lead was a big part of the reason why they knew that Michigan indeed was the place.
Biggest way to look at, who the best recruiters in the country are, or at least the way how Michigan has kind of dispersed them in the past. Cause I know Chris Partridge won Recruiter of the Year from 24/7 Sports. I think it was in the 2017 cycle. It's not so much about how they recruit their position or maybe even the main geographical area that they're responsible for. It's when Michigan, like when Harbaugh, the staff throws them into important recruitments, period, regardless of position or location. So like Sherrone Moore, a major factor in Darian Green-Warren and his commitment last cycle.
Right. And, just real quick, a real brief aside. I remember Darian's first tweet. He said, man, I love talking to Sherrone Moore. Now, Sherrone Moore is like an actor from The Young and the Restless. I mean, Sherrone Moore has done more than that since then. But to your point, Steve, I mean, he just out of the blue. It's like, man, this Sherrone, don't call me Sherrone Moore kid or guy, is a great guy to talk to.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, because that's what, with Partridge, it was the same deal where, if there was a guy that they were really, really high on, who was going to be involved besides the primary, the position coach and maybe the geographical guy, Partridge was always thrown in. Braden McGregor too. I know Sean Nua did an awesome job in kind of picking up where Greg Madison left off in that recruitment, but Sherrone Moore was also a big factor in kind of keeping that bridge afloat or built while that transition was going on. And I know now we're going to talk about him kind of being the point guy throughout the entire state of Michigan, which I mean, I think is a no-brainer move at that point. And again, is another indication of his just flat out recruiting ability. And one of the things that I think is one of the biggest traits, I think, to these guys who are better than almost anybody at what they're doing recruiting wise, is there's this ability to kind of customize their approach, with each type of kid that they're recruiting. So with Daxton Hill, the play to kind of lay off a little bit when he flips and not say, I can't believe you did this, or to not, as I always got crap about what I wrote about the Theo Johnson recruitment, where Theo literally said that Michigan's more hands-off, laid-back approach was one of the reasons that kept that one of the things that really kept them in the race,
right?
Led by Sherrone. But then there are recruitments we talk about Fidone, where it kind of feels like Michigan has been a little more aggressive as far as, the contact has been pretty constant there for a pretty long time now, and it's like, I think, and so that must be the approach I suspect that Fidone may prefer, is the who wants me the most type approach, which is totally fine. Everyone's got their different angle, so the ability of an assistant to kind of adapt their recruiting style to the kids that they're pursuing and not necessarily take the exact same approach or a similar approach with a wide variety of kids, I think is one of the best indications, along with, the ability to be able to just throw an assistant into a random recruitment where they really, you wouldn't think would have any business in watching them reel guys in.